Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got an NBA wrap-up, but before that, let's get some quick hitter hot takes out of the way. Okay, congratulations to Bryson DeChambeau's public relations team. Yes, the LIV golfer won the US Open last week, but the real MVPs are the people who worked with Bryson on reshaping his image into someone that is likable, relatable, and personable. I'm guessing that this is a side of Bryson and it was always there just lurking under the surface. It just needed a push. And guess what? Instead of the collective golf fandom groaning over his slow-playing, know-it-all persona when Bryson last won a major, he's now celebrated like he's Arnold Palmer. The solution? Get you a PR team that can psychoanalyze you and come up with a strategy that makes you beloved in a genuine and an organic way like Bryson's team did. However, this is also your daily reminder, don't get worked into a shoot by workers because by the time you realize it's a work and not a shoot, it's too late. So never, ever work yourself into a shoot, brother. What do I mean by that? I don't know. Speaking of congratulations, the Nike Shox R4 trended thanks to Kendrick Lamar rocking them at his Ken and Friends pop-out concert. Not gonna lie. The way people were talking about Shox during and after the concert, you would think that they were Black Air Forces. If this starts a new era of appreciation for Shox that goes beyond the longtime true believers, this could be what Nike was hoping the field general would be in 2024. As for the concert, just wow. Doing Not Like Us 5 times is a special kind of petty, and I love it. But beyond that, Kendrick laid down the gauntlet, man. Yeah, Cole might still be right that him, Drake, and Kendrick are the big three. But Kendrick ain't three, and he sure as hell ain't two, and the gap between them has never been wider. APL, or Athletic Propulsion Labs, they debuted a new sneaker this week for the Red Bull racing team called the Podium. Yes, if you're wondering, the letter I has been replaced with the number 1. Subtlety, it's a core tenet of Red Bull. Anyways, I could be wrong, but this might be the first time we're covering APL on this show. It's your typical engineered mesh-based runner/trainer from afar, but with the $300 premium price and the Red Bull association. I'm guessing this debut colorway is only a teaser of what's to come. Considering Red Bull's reputation on the grid, I fully expect some wild colorways for Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez to rock on the podium, which could happen as soon as this weekend in Spain. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a 6 or 7 visually, but I would love to get my hands on a pair because we don't get to talk much about APL on this show. All right, for my pick of the week, it's this shoe, the Nike Sabrina 2 Court Vision. So after a banger of a signature shoe debut, Sabrina Ionescu is back with the Nike Sabrina 2 in this colorway, which is the Court Vision. And you know what? I think lightning is gonna strike twice, man. We've had the shoes here at the studio for a minute, and I'm very pleased with the design and presentation. Yes, the comparison to her mentor, the late Kobe Bryant's own signature line, will never end, but Sabrina is stepping out on her own with some upgrades from the last one. It's going to be the first Nike basketball shoe with Cushlon 3.0, an improved fit thanks to an updated band system, and a lighter feel as it will weigh 28 grams less compared to the Sabrina 1 on average. And that's all a good thing. All right. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like the NBA until September, or if the Lakers trade LeBron to wherever Bronny goes. Not that I need an excuse or permission to talk about my team, I just do it. All right, now that the finals are done, let's do a vibe check around the league and some of the storylines that we see heading into the summer break. Luka, can he win the big one, Doncic? It's a rite of passage, kid. For all the praise that Luka's received for being a basketball savant since he first stepped into the NBA, he hasn't really had to deal with the scrutiny of being a superstar until now. Unless you're Bill Russell, who rarely lost, or Michael Jordan, who stands believe never lost, you have to go through it. And by it, I mean everybody's saying you suck because you don't have a ring. Luka's been insulated from the topic of rings for much of his career, which makes sense because he was a prodigy and his teams weren't up to his level. But now that he's made it to the finals and failed to deliver a championship, every talking head is going to be on him until he does. It already started after Game 3 when ESPN's Brian Windhorst laid into Luka like Stephen A. Smith saves his most righteous vengeance and furious anger for the Dallas Cowboys. Luka earned some grace with a brilliant Game 4, but now that the series is over, he's in the same spot that Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Damian Lillard, and so many others occupy. Great players with Hall of Fame worthy resumes, but no rings. It's a byproduct of the rings culture that in many ways skews our perception of how truly great certain players are, fair or not. Like, I don't think anybody would argue that Anthony Davis is as great as someone like Charles Barkley right now. But there will come a day when someone with legit hoop bona fides will look solely at the numbers and argue that AD was better than Chuck, and a big part of that case will come down to AD having a ring and Chuck having 0. Look, Luka is the best player Dallas has had since Dirk Nowitzki, a guy who knew a thing or two about the narrative messing with his legacy until he won a ring. If we follow the Dirk timeline, Luka is in the losing to Miami in 2006 phase. Assuming he stays healthy and somehow keeps getting better, it wouldn't shock me to see Luka make it back to the finals sooner than Dirk did when he finally beat Miami in 2011. But it also wouldn't shock me if Luka won an MVP next season, secured the number 1 seed, and lost to a scrappy number 8 seed like Dirk did in 2007. Either way, he's got plenty of time. We as basketball fans gotta hope the loud voices on TV and social media just don't get to him. Next up, Kyrie was right. No, not about that dumb shit he did in Brooklyn that got him out of there. He was excessively punished for sure. But even he would admit he brought a lot of unnecessary mess onto himself. But one thing Kai did right while in Brooklyn was burn sage to break whatever bad juju he was feeling at the time. If anything, he probably should have done more, man, because the bad vibes are still there. It was so heartbreaking to see Kai do so well in the playoffs, shaking off the negative tags that had been placed on him since he asked to be traded from Cleveland many years ago. We could all see that this was a different Kai than from even the one that was traded to Dallas last year. It's probably no coincidence that Dallas was viewed as his last chance to really be a star once again, and that he had a signature shoe to sell without the Nike machine to help him. But that's irrelevant now. We got the old Kai back, and it was great to see him do his thing in the playoffs, except when he had to play outside of Dallas in the finals. Going back to ring culture, Kai doesn't have to worry about that, because not only does he have a ring, he made the shot that won his team a ring. All he can do now is add to his legacy, whether that's winning one with Luka or demanding a trade to the winning one with Luka. All right, Dirk Nowitzki is still happy, man. Like, can we name another recent player whose legacy changed so dramatically because he won a ring? Like, instead of Dirk having to go on all these player podcasts to do a sad boy routine, he's having fun and talking about the foil-wrapped plates he would bring to games. And even though his Mavericks lost in the finals, he's still happy because, well, he got them one, and that set him up for life there. Next up, Charles Barkley ain't retiring, y'all. The biggest story after Game 4 of the finals wasn't that there was going to be a Game 5. It was that Charles Barkley was saying that he was retiring from TV. One of the greatest sports personalities of all time was hanging it up. He was going to call it quits. He was dropping the microphone. With NBA media rights still up in the air, Chuck was controlling his destiny, saying that no matter what happens, the next season of Inside the NBA is going to be his last. And you know what? Some people bought it. Like, there are actually fans who believe that Charles Barkley is going to step away from the spotlight. To which I would say, what a bunch of marks. Chuck ain't going nowhere, man. A noted pro wrestling fan, Chuck is just working everybody, including the NBA. He's been threatening to quit the NBA in some shape or form since the 90s. According to Sports Media Watch, Barkley has alluded to early retirement either as a player or a broadcaster 8 times between 1993 and 2022. In the 2000s, he said he was going to run for governor of Alabama. The closest he ever got was a show on CNN a few years ago. He had a public negotiation with Live Golf about joining their booth, saying that for the money the rival golf league was throwing around, he'd kill a family member. Like, this is part of the Charles Barkley experience. He says he's going to retire. He signs a big fat contract, rinse and repeat. The only reason this time feels realer than the other instances is because TNT is in very real danger of losing the NBA. Some people are interpreting Chuck's retirement announcement as a threat to the NBA, and I kind of buy that. Like, Chuck knows his worth, and he's using it as a way to convince the league to carve out something for TNT so that Inside the NBA can stay on the air. And if it doesn't work, then yeah, we should all feel some sort of way for Chuck, Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and the amazing staff who produces the show. But if you think we're not going to see Chuck on our screens barely talking about hoops on ESPN or NBC or Amazon, you're kind of a mark. Not to discount real life reasons that might have popped up and this announcement actually is legit, but I cannot imagine a world where Charles Barkley is not on our screens in one way or another. And Winning time is better than clipped. Okay, so as many of you know, I'm still hurt by the cancellation of Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty on HBO or HBO Max or Max, the one to watch. I don't know anymore. Whatever the channel is called. Anyways, I love that show because it brought me back to my childhood in a way I didn't think was possible. I mean, I grew up watching Magic and Kareem and Michael Cooper and Pat Riley and the purple and gold. I know what they look like, and I know the narrative around the team during the Showtime era. That Winning Time was able to suspend my disbelief with great actors and creative reworking of events that I lived through was its greatest accomplishment. So far, Clipped is falling short on almost all of those fronts. A retelling of the Donald Sterling scandal that ended with Sterling's wife Shelley selling the team to Steve Ballmer. I just can't get immersed into the story yet in the same way I was with Winning Time. Yes, part of it is that Winning Time is from my childhood, and I was a grown-ass man when the events in the Clipped was happening, and there's the whole Lakers and Clippers thing, but it goes beyond that. The acting is sufficient, but the production value isn't on the same level as Winning Time. The inconsistencies with the timeline and events are a little more glaring, and holy shit, the casting department they use to get actors to portray the NBA players is atrocious. It makes Winning Time's casting of guys who looked close enough to Magic and Kareem and even the late Jerry West all that more impressive. Like, no offense to any of these actors because they're only doing what they can with the material they're given, but nobody even comes close to looking like Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, and JJ Redick. Like, they even got somebody to play Steph Curry, and man, I would be offended if I was Steph. And as somebody who is considered by some as a sneaker journalist, I feel the need to point out that fake Steph was wearing the Under Armour Curry 1 nearly a year before that shoe would even be revealed. Like, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be cleaned up, man. As for the others, Lawrence Fishburne, he made me realize it's damn near impossible to copy Doc Rivers' voice. Ed O'Neill, he continues to be an underappreciated performer since he was Al Bundy. Jackie Weaver's Shelley Sterling she's a good balance between being a sympathetic figure and someone who was complicit in everything. And then Cleopatra Coleman's V. Stiviano is cringe as hell. And, well, that's kind of a good thing. Here's hoping the rest of the episodes pick up the pace, but I don't know. It's just not looking great, guys. Maybe if they had waited another 10 years and the memories were a little more hazy, yeah. I know that didn't really have anything to do with the finals, but what else are we going to talk about? Oh, right, that Jordan Brand commercial. So Jordan Brand played a commercial at the end of the finals, and some are interpreting some of the elements of the spot as a shot at Anthony Edwards and Adidas' marketing campaign for the Adidas AE1. I mean, I could see that being the angle. Sure, Edwards' brash style has definitely rubbed people at the other brand some type of way, and they've been looking for ways to clap back. And you know what? Don't Stop Disbelieving is an interesting counter to believe at. And with the Olympics coming up, I would not be surprised to see the sneaker beef escalate. Man, that's how you know Edwards is doing something right. Because I don't know that this would have had the same effect if Trae Young or Donovan Mitchell were calling out their critics. Dame Lillard, maybe, but it would have to have been during the early part of his career. James Harden, well, I feel like that boat sailed a long time ago. But here's another thing that I'm curious about. That Jordan Brand commercial, it could have easily been about Luka. Do you think they had Luka do the same voiceover with the same script with maybe some minor tweaks? I mean, the not it, can't lead, and can't close lines, they could also apply to Luka, really. And especially now that he didn't win. Yeah. Let's see. What else hoops-wise? Detroit fired Monty Williams, even though they'll owe him a lot of money to do nothing for the next 5 years. Pascal Siakam signed a max deal with Indiana. That's interesting. Bronny is only doing limited workouts. Sure, whatever. Oh, sorry. Lakers coaching search. That's right. Look, thanks for your service, Darvin Ham. You helped us win the inaugural NBA Cup, which will either be something that's forgotten in a few years because it didn't take off, or will become such a success it's a cudgel that we use along with our Larry O'Brien trophies to prove our greatness. Far be it for me to question the wisdom of a front office and family that's given us so many memories through the years, but our next coach can't be a stopgap to the next Phil Jackson or whatever. We need that person who's going to command the respect of our players, get Anthony Davis to try a little harder, and manage LeBron the right way. Well, either that or we trade LeBron and get some youth in here. Either way, I'm not a doomer like some of my fellow Lakers fans. It happens next season or it happens a few years from now. The sun is still going to shine on Los Angeles once again. Well, it'll shine more because we're already freaking LA, but you get the picture. Winning time is just around the corner. Believe that. Sorry, AE. And yeah, that's about it for the NBA Finals. Congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks. You guys had a great season. Happy to see Luka do well and Kyrie get back on track, man. Personally, I'm very confident Luka will get another shot at a ring sooner rather than later. I'm just hoping that sooner includes a trade demand to the Lakers. So yeah, I would say let's go Sparks, but Cameron Brink going down with an ACL injury, it's probably a little too soon for that. I like to think that we've gotten all of the Caitlin Clark stuff out of the way so we can actually talk about the W in a real way with all the cool narratives going on there. And the beauty of Hard Pass is that we got a lot of things to talk about this summer. Golf still has one more major to go in the British Open. F1 is heating up as a couple of teams are starting to catch up to Red Bull. Wrestling has got a couple of big events on the horizon. And hey, football is almost back. Even though we really only talk about football if somebody is dropping a signature shoe or if the 49ers are good. But yeah, Hard Pass is going to have a heck of a summer and maybe a surprise or two on the way. So make sure you stay tuned for that. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace. Did we forget about anything else in the NBA? I feel like we covered everything. Like all the important stuff we covered, right? Yeah, we didn't forget anything. Cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. See you guys next week. Peace.